Every parent wants to raise a healthy, thriving child, but too many parents across Georgia are navigating stress, uncertainty, and challenged by the different needs that they have to help support and rear their children. At the same time, there are professionals across the state, such as family resource centers, your community members, nonprofits, schools. They are all working to help support those families, and they are dealing with navigating an uncoordinated system. And so this is where Positive Childhood Alliance Georgia comes in as the guide to help support this system of care, of prevention.
We don't want to wait till families fall into crisis before we kind of step in and make things better. And it's also a lot more cost effective.
Because it gets better outcomes for kids and families. We know that separation of children from their parents and their community or their school is actually an adverse childhood experience. The absence of positive experiences has a bigger long-term negative impact on our health and well-being than the presence of ACEs themselves. So we've got to create positive experiences for kids and families, because if the parents aren't okay, the kids aren't okay.
For a long time, people have been looking at adverse childhood experiences, but we know that those protective factors and positive childhood experiences have an even bigger impact on people's healthy outcomes later in life. So we're really digging in deep to those. And those are things that we can do regardless of risks, regardless of what has already occurred, that we can build into people's lives. So
we equip providers with training and tools. We help lead positive parenting in Georgia, so that way parents can use proven evidence-based support systems like Positive Parenting PPP. And then what brings it all together is Find Help Georgia, where parents are able to access more easily all of the programs and services that might be available to help better support them. The result is that we have a more coordinated system of care. We're building that prevention ecosystem so that way both families can access the help that they need, and then the professionals that are doing the work have the support that they need. And the more that we can elevate a family's protective factors, we can help bake in those protective measures that are needed to help that child experience a healthy, positive childhood.
Parenting is one of the most important things we do in life, and there's no schools of parenting. If we can teach our children those values and those principles, and they can reflect them into good behaviors, you're impacting society.
When we show up to work, we are not separated from what's happening in our family lives. What might be happening with my child's safety at school or at their childcare provider, those things are interrelated. You're going to have a more productive workforce when they're checked in, when they can really put their mind and heart to the task at hand.
The absence of abuse, and it's these positive childhood experiences that we all need and can benefit from. And so rather than being focused on the negative outcomes that we didn't want to see, we started shifting and focusing on just the positive stuff we did want to see.
Focus on what's strong, not what's wrong.
We need to invest in families before crisis occurs, so that way they can be strong, they can avoid crises, and we do not need to lean on the reactive partners.
Families need resources, family needs support, and Find Help Georgia provides that. People have the access to go onto findhelpga.org, enter in their zip code, and choose the categories and subcategories of the resources they need for their family.
We have to have policies that support families, and we need to understand that the policies that are supporting families are prevention of abuse and neglect, right? So we're creating a foundation of support. Neglect is more than half of the calls that come to Child Protective Services are because families don't have adequate housing and food and finances, right? So that is a huge part of what we're talking about.
Somebody asked us one time, well, you're a prevention agency. How do you define success? If we're going to a home with a parent and mom has never read to her child, has never sat down on the floor and played with her child, and by the time we leave, she's reading to her child, she's interacting with her child, then that's a success. It's very easy to focus on the negative. It's very hard to find the positive, but it's there. And if you can also focus on that family's positive, then they're going to be more receptive to you and what you have to offer.